Come on in. I'll give you all a few minutes to come on in. Come on in. Welcome. My name is Monique. I am a life coach and I teach women how to take responsibility for their happiness, success, and freedom. And my topic today is would you rather. You know, the kids like to listen to these videos talking about would you rather. And would you rather do this? Would you rather do that? They come up with some. You look it up, you'll see what I'm talking about on YouTube. But I named this topic "Would You Rather" because a lot of us are around people who we would rather for them not to call us out on the things that are wrong. And I'm not talking about you talking down on people, you making it seem like people can't live a normal life or just live life, and you wanting people to be perfect. I'm not talking about that, because none of us are perfect. We're all struggling with something. The things that I'm talking about is you, or we, I'm gonna say you, we being around people that know we're doing something that is detrimental, know we're doing something that could cost us our livelihood, know we're doing something that is not right, or that is against God, or that we feel later down the line is going to cost, right? It's going to cost our supposedly loved ones who we care about something. I've watched several people be around people that they proclaim they love, and they saw that they were doing things that will cost them later. They were doing things that could possibly put them behind bars. They were doing things that were just not right. And I've saw people sit around for years and not say anything to those people, because they didn't want to lose that person's affection. They didn't want to lose those people's relationships. And you got some people could see you doing bad. And this happens in families. We have to get to, this is why so many families, especially, I won't just say the black families, because I've noticed when I talk to different people, this happens across family, across lines. Yes, son. I'll put it, no. This happens across family lines because it's a spirit that is happening and that people are dealing with in the families. What families would do when your family is dealing with the spirit, right? When they're dealing with different spirits and different strongholds in the family, and you have a person that is trying to get away, right? That is not trying to continue. They're trying to break the generational pattern. They're trying to break the generational curse. When you have a person that is getting away and they're trying to raise their children up different, they're trying to do things different. And it's not that you're looking down on anyone, you're not talking bad about anyone. You just see that something that you don't like that is going on in the family. You just see things, patterns that you don't like, and you just want to turn away from that. You want to try to live and do what's right. What people would do, what families would do, they will gather around the people who are doing wrong. They will gather around the people who are just living sinful, and they'll cheer them on. And I'm not talking about just little sins, like things that are wrong. When I say sins, things that are just blatantly wrong. I'm not talking about small stuff, because we all do small things. But I'm talking about crazy things. They would gather around those people. It seemed like they're supporting, and they want to confirm and affirm the wrongdoing. You know why that is? That's because that spirit in that family don't want anybody else to break. They want to continue. They don't want the people to break away. They don't want them to break away. So they're going to support you in your wrongdoing. And this is why people who try to break away from these family generational patterns, they see this craziness going on in families, and they see how other people support, and they seem like they're being loved on and cared for and supported, right? They seem like they're being supported in their foolishness, and you're sitting back, the one who got away, the generation of curse breaker, you sitting back looking like, this is crazy. They sitting there supporting this foolishness, and they don't see this as wrong. You know why they don't see it's wrong? Because it's a spirit that's blinding them. They see it. No, I'm gonna rephrase that. They see it's wrong, but they don't want to do the work. They don't want to call out the wrong, because in families, certain families, and I see it a lot in people who look like me. I see it a lot in us, right? But I know it happens in other communities. With families, what happens is, sometimes to say somebody is wrong in what they're doing, we tend to feel like the person is judging us. We feel like the person is thinking they're better because they see something that is going to cause you, even in the long run, you're going to pay a price for that. Some people could see it, but instead of calling it out, and instead of, having a conversation or sitting down, people in your family feel like you think you better. And see, they'll hit you with this. This is a spirit. When they come with this, you think you better than us spirit, you got to rebuke that. You got to rebuke that. You got to say, Lord, I speak against this. I speak against this because I know I don't think I'm better. Yes, I want to do better, but I don't think I'm no better than my relatives. People equate you want to do better with you thinking you better than them. No, them are spirits you're dealing with. Those are spirits you're dealing with. Because you want to do better, because you don't want to continue the traditions and the ways of doing things. You don't want to continue that. Now you're public enemy number one. Any little thing you do is going to be exacerbated. It's going to be exaggerated. It's going to be put up as the be all, wrong all. You the one that's the wrong person. Oh, they're going to target you. See, and in every family, you got somebody who's just a rebel, which means you got a black sheep that is not going to go along, because it's not in us to go along to do what everybody else is doing. And your heart is so pure. You're the most loving and caring person, and you'll be there for them same people who dogged you out, talked about you, called you crazy. You still in your heart will be there for those same people. That's how crazy it is. That's when you know you special and you different. When you can be there for the people who set fire to the lies about you. When you can be there for the people who told the lies about you, who helped run them lies through the family. Because see, people don't want you to seem like you're so perfect. They don't want you to be the person who you are, that you came from the same gutters, the same struggles as them. But you had the strength, and you got the willpower and the fight and the belief in God that you can do something different. You got the willpower and the fight in God to know you want to introduce your children to something different. You got the belief and faith in God, not the religion that they serve. Because see, a lot of y'all were brought up in the family. Y'all went to church all your life. You went to church all your life. You stayed in church. But there was no change. See, the chosen ones are more spiritually connected to God than to religion and tradition. You saw things in your youth that just didn't make sense. You saw things that just didn't make sense to you on a religious, and I'm not speaking against God, because I still go to church. I just left church. I'm not speaking against that, but you know, it was something more spiritual that you were dealing with in your family, or that's going on in your family. See, you can see. See, what you can see, nobody else can see. Because, see, we got families that hide behind religion. We got family members that hide behind going to church. And, you know, growing up in what they call the black church, which shouldn't be no black church. It should just be one church. But growing up in the church, in the black community, I'll say, I know people that went to church and went to see their what they call their root workers. And see, that's the thing. We think, and some of these traditions are passed down. Some of these traditions are passed down, especially if you African descent. Some of y'all, it was normal for some of our ancestors to say we love God and we love turning up them cards, them tarot cards, and doing all this craziness, dibbling and dabbling in things that are not of God. You think that stopped? I know I don't think it stopped. See, now that I'm more spiritually mature, I could see things for what it really is now. I was young, and you trying to wrap your mind around all this stuff. It's bigger than we think in our families. This stuff is bigger than we think. I saw my own mom fight devils that she didn't know how to fight because she didn't have the spiritual wisdom. She didn't have the spiritual wisdom. She didn't have the understanding. But my family went to church every Sunday. We claim to know God. We claim to be of God. We claim to, but my mama was battling demons. She was battling spirits that nobody in my family had the power to deliver and heal her and give her the knowledge and say something was going on. Even in my ignorance, I looked at my mom and I'm like, something else is deeper. This bigger than going to church. This bigger than going to church. And see, we want to ignore it and dismiss it, but nothing could make me think anything different. How I saw my mom struggle spiritually. Nobody can tell me this stuff is not real. I don't care what anybody says. I witnessed this from a child. I witnessed this, how my mom dealt spiritually with these different things. And nobody could help her. Nobody could lay hands on her. Nobody could deliver her because it was bigger. This thing was bloodline. It was bigger. She needed to repent, and we didn't have the knowledge. Repent for what our ancestors did. No, I'm not saying my grandmother did something. This stuff that was before her that happened. This was stuff that happened before her. And I watched her struggle because she was a person that, my mom was a person, if she would have just got hold of the truth. Because see what the enemy will do, the enemy attack the ones, okay? Because see, I'm a product of my mom. So it's continuing down the bloodline. I'm not saying she did something. I don't know what my mom did. I don't know what my ancestors did. It's not my job to try to figure out where it came from, because I know, being that we're African descent, it came from somewhere. It came from them generationals. It came from the 40th generation back. Right? But my job is to ask God to show me and pinpoint me to the truth, regardless of how I'm being attacked, how people come up against me. Because I don't want my children, right? I don't want my children. See, one thing, when you wake up and when you finally get the boldness to speak up and you stand up against these spirits, the other spirits in a family, they'll come up against you. They'll rise up and come up against you. They'll come up against you. They'll go to saying you think you better, and not knowing this thing is bigger than the petty stuff that we're talking about on this surface level. Somebody thinking they're better. No, we fighting. I'm fighting. This is a fight that we're dealing with. Nobody don't think they're better. It's that you're fighting. Your eyes have been opened and you're not spiritually mature to see on the level that I can see on. You don't have to have a title. See, that's another thing. People got to stop thinking that because people been in church 30 years, 40 years, you ordained, you got a title. We got to stop thinking that these people are more spiritual than those who God chose and set apart for himself. They are not more spiritual. That is a lie from the pit of hell. That is a lie. Because when you're chosen, you best believe you're going to go through hell from the beginning. You're going to go through stuff from the beginning. And we don't want to do the work. And I know it's hard because it's hard for me. I'm not going to lie. This is not an easy task. But what keeps me going and fighting is looking at my children like, do I sit here and try and let the generational curses continue? Or do I at least try to fight? Do I at least try to do the work and try to tell my kids the truth and try to show them, hey, you know, if you do this, this is what's going to happen. If you do that, this is what's going to happen. And people don't want you to do that. Because when you do that, you're coming up against the foundations. You're coming up against what's been planted already in your bloodline. You're coming up against what people know. You're making people uncomfortable. You're talking about stuff that people, you know, wanna sweep under the carpet. That's what you're doing. But I would rather somebody try to tell me the truth and try to open my eyes and go to God for myself and ask him, show me what this person is talking about. Because see, one thing I know and two things for sure. We don't want to lose. Because when you come into truth and knowledge, it requires for you to walk and do things differently. And people don't want to do that. And I understand why. I'm not here to judge nobody. People don't want to give up because your truth means you may have to stop being around your mama. The truth means you may have to stop being around your own dad. The truth means you may have to get away from your entire family. And people don't want to believe that. See, people don't want to believe that. And this is not for everybody. Everybody's family is not dealing with these curses and stuff because everybody's family did not touch those things that God told us not to touch. Now you look at somebody else's family, look at how they get along well, everybody's successful, they're loving. Then you look at another family, all of them sick, they drug addicts, they going through stuff, they backbiting, is negative, you don't want to be around them. It's so much going on in that family, and you look at that family and they loving, they get along, they support each other. You can't compare that. You can't compare the two families because their generation did not do what your generation did. And that's where we go wrong. We want to look at other people and not look at ourselves. And enough of looking at somebody else. It's time for us to clean up our own house. It's time for us to look at our own stuff. We think this stuff isn't real. This stuff is real. This stuff is bigger than what we think it is. We can believe what the movies do and say. The movies tell us all this stuff. The movies tell us how spiritual this thing is, and we don't want to believe it. That's why I don't care too much about being around people. I don't care. I used to be so afraid of being alone. I don't mind about being alone now. I don't mind about being by myself. Because everybody's not going to understand me. And I can't make everybody understand what I know because they didn't go through my journey. Everybody didn't have to see their parent, their mom, battle an addiction with drugs and deal with spirits that you couldn't comprehend as a child. I couldn't comprehend as a child, but God allowed me to witness that, because as an adult, now I can put the puzzle together. Now I can see it was bigger. My mom was fighting something bigger than what she was dealing with. This is why some of y'all got to forgive y'all parents. Because see, some of y'all parents, let me tell y'all this. Some of y'all parents dealt with stuff. If you got to look at how you and your siblings are. You got to look at how you and your family, your current family, are operating. Now, if you and your siblings are always at odds, they're always, you're always mad. You got jealousy and hate. They support one sibling, but they're against the other. You got to know that's a generational curse. If you're dealing with that on your level, you best believe your mama dealt with it. Your mama dealt with it. If you're dealing with it, you best believe your mother dealt with it. And see, we don't know this because people be quiet. And see, only God can give you this revelation. This is spiritual wisdom, spiritual food. Nobody don't have to say nothing. But God only gives this revelation. If you dealing with stuff on your level, see, this stuff is bigger than what we see. See, these little mediocre demons that we fighting, you and your siblings can't get along. Your mama dealt with that. Your mama dealt with it. They're not going to tell you, because people get older and they get all religious, right? They get all religious, and you don't know that because you're the generation coming behind them. You don't know what went on. The older ones know what went on, but they're not going to tell you how they were with your mom, with your family, with your siblings. They're not going to tell you because you don't know what went on. You don't know what went on. Only thing you see is your mom battling. Your mom battling. Your mom going through stuff. And you think what you dealt with your siblings, with your family, you think that's not generational? You think the people before that generation didn't go through the same thing? And see, what we like to do, we try to brush over the truth instead of hitting the truth head on. Hitting the truth head on. Division in the family, the light-skinned family against the dark-skinned ones. That's a generational curse. That stuff ancestral. You don't want to deal with certain family members because their skin color ain't light like yours. Their hair is not curly like yours. That's the dark side over there. Oh, we only like these groups right here, this group. Oh, that thing generational. It still goes on. See, people are not going to talk about this because they're afraid. I saw it in my family. Nobody said anything about it. I saw it growing up as a child. But they brushed it under the rug as if it wasn't going on. Oh, it went on. It went on. Let's tell the truth, shame the devil. And see what we'll do. We'll talk about it amongst each other instead of bringing that thing to the light and let it be destroyed by the light, bringing that truth. And people sit around and won't say nothing. And see, I can't sit around and not say nothing. I'm not built like that. I like to tell the truth so we can get this mess out the way. Incest in the family. People sweep it under the rug. Incest. Continue with these spiritual strongholds and all this stuff you're dealing with. You don't know why you're dealing with it. Addictions and stuff. All this craziness. I'm gonna have to go because my phone gonna turn off. But I'm gonna have to do a part 2 before I hang up, before I get kicked off. I mean, dealing with this stuff. But then what they'll do, you have all this underlying trauma. Nobody addresses the trauma, right? Nobody addressed that, okay, you said this to me back in this 20 years ago. But in their heart, they got that grudge. So what they'll do, okay, I let it go. Knowing you really didn't let it go. because you didn't address it. You didn't address the misunderstanding. You didn't address the issue. So you want to come around like as if nothing happened. No, you got to address that, because that tension is going to be there. That's why when y'all go around family and they got all these vibes and energies, they got jealousy, they got this tension, they got unresolved trauma, unresolved things that you probably said or did to them that you don't forget about, but you did it and they still think you remember, but they never brought it to you. So you go around and you can feel this tension and they pretending all this fake love and fake this and fake that. No. Say what you got to say. If you don't like this person, tell them why you don't like them. If you don't want to be around them, don't be around them. But get to the root of your own issue. Get to the root of your matter. And we project all these things on people and they have nothing to do with how you're feeling, right? They have nothing to do with how you're feeling. Because you perpetuating the generational curse of assumptions and going by your feelings and going by this, that, and the other instead of addressing it. Go and see, this is what I pray for my family to break. I pray this on my family side, maternal, that we stop having an issue with somebody and won't address it. We stop seeing people do stuff and won't say nothing to them. No, you ain't got to be publicly and disgrace them publicly, but you can tell them they are wrong. We got to stop saying things and getting mad at somebody because they telling you the truth. Somebody telling you the truth, you getting an attitude, you getting mad. You getting mad because they're telling you the truth. They're telling you what's right. You want to get an attitude. I got to do a part 2 because I don't want my phone to go out.